Right. Just 1 second. So, recording has started. All right. And yeah, of course, Happy New Year to you all. I hope you had some relaxing days and weeks in the last few weeks, especially due to this heavy time, let's say, to the new normal. And I hope that you had a great start in the new year. And let's hope all together that it will be better than the last one. And what are we going to do today? As usual, I do a quick recap about the news, what has happened in the Power BI in the last few weeks and months. Afterwards, I will hand over to Andrej from Zebra BI. He will show us dynamic commentary within Power BI. And then last but not least, we have Miguel from Atos, who will demo how to track your Power BI environment. And then last but not least, I will have two more slides about the community, how the future of it is, because we have some reorganization. But let's start first of all with the meetup itself. So just that you know, the meetup is organized in Geneva, St. Gallen, and Wallisellen as well. And if you're interested in the Geneva one, please go to Anna. She is the single point of contact if you wish to participate or even have a speech. For St. Gallen, they had also already 4 meetups, and there it's René. She is the single point of contact if you're interested in having a speech or participating in their community as well. So let's start with the latest and greatest about Power BI. What's new? I pick or took the most, let's say, 4 or 5 interesting things about the last few months. Of course, there are more, but I thought of, hey, what could be interesting for the community? Therefore, I'm focusing on these 5 updates regarding November. And let's start with the richer Power BI integration within Excel. From my point of view, it's a really great one. Not only that you can connect to a Power BI data set from Excel and the endorsement works, you can also have so-called featured tables as data types within Excel and get automatically the information. And as usual, let me show how that works. So I go here to my Excel sheet. As you see, it's a blank one. Make it a bit bigger. And first of all, let me introduce to you the data types in general. For example, if you wish to have a table, let's go with country, and we have Switzerland and Germany and USA and so on. I'm gonna mark it as a table so that it's a little bit easier for me to work with. And what you can do within Excel is on the ribbon data, you have these out-of-the-box data types here at the top. And for example, in my case, I go with the geography data types because I'm working with countries. And what I can do now is I can mark this column and say, please mark it as geography data type. And what happens is I have now like a little symbol over here symbolizing, hey, it's now a data type of geography. And this means Excel, in this case, works with Bing together to get me more information about this specific country. So for example, what I can do now is I can add new columns and say, okay, to this country, or show me, for example, the population of it. It's in German because I have the settings in German. But now I get the population of each country. Further, I can also say, okay, show me, I don't know, whatever, how big it is. And the beauty of it is, if I add a new one, Excel will look for it through Bing and add this information for me as well. And why is this so interesting when it comes to Power BI? The reason is we can now, within Power BI, declare such kind of so-called featured tables. And these featured tables will come up as data types within Excel. So let me recreate this table over here. One more time as a table. This. And now I go again to the data ribbon. And instead of this out-of-the-box one, I expand it. And I see here from your organization. So this is coming from Power BI. and I have a country table with it. This country table is pretty simple, but still I mark it as such. It's taking a little bit longer, but now I can add fields coming from this data table, coming from the data set itself from Power BI. In my case, I just tested it, therefore I've just a few ones for columns, but it still works the same. So for example, if I add now a new field, it's connecting to the data set, looking for it, and will add the associated fields with it. So for example, China again. And just that you know, if you add a new country, which is not recognized or not available within the table, you will see a question mark at the beginning, so that you know, okay, this is not there. Perhaps it's a mistype, or it's just not within the table. So this is one cool new feature I wanted to share. I mean, after the call, I will share the slides as well, so you can also deep dive into it, and feel free to test it if you wish you can. Let's go to the next one. We announced some new cool look and feel within Power BI itself. So for those who has the newest update, they saw already that the icons change a little bit, the text change a little bit, and so on. But from my point of view, the most interesting new look and feel is the model view, because let me show that live in a desktop. I switch here to model view. Within, I see now on one hand through colors which table is imported, which table is in direct query or in dual mode. So I'm working here with a composite model, and you can see here that this one is like, let's say, a white one, meaning it's an imported table. This one is blue, meaning it's direct query, and this one is dual mode. And you can check that if I select a table, you have here advanced, and you see, yes, this is really dual mode for this table. So it makes my life easier to know, okay, from where is my data coming, what is the mode within, and if you wish, you can also change it from direct, for example, to import mode. All right, let's move on to the next one. We announced a zoom slider within visuals, meaning, let me show that as well, meaning if I switch to another report, I have here a line chart, and I can go now to the format pane, enable zoom slider, and have it, for example, on the y-axis, or if I change the axis to date, I can also have the zoom slider on an x-axis. And the beauty of it is, it's not filtering or anything. It's really just zooming into the specific area that I wish. So for example, if I wish to zoom in to, I don't know, let's go for May and June, I'm really just zooming in. And if you have any kind of tax calculation, it also won't recalculate, because it's just zooming in into this region. All right, let's move on to the next one. Anomaly detection, it's right now in preview, but this one is pretty cool because you can, on one hand, see how your data, does it have some outliers. So let me go again to the full view and use this visual. If I go to the analytics tab here, I have find anomalies. And if I expand it, I can add one. And I can, once added, say how sensitive it should be, how the shape should be, and so on. But the most interesting part is, for example, if I click now on this one anomaly here that it's affected, I got an explanation, or a possible explanation why it is an anomaly. And it shows me, make that a little bit bigger. For example, for channel, retail store, the strength is 50%, which means if I sell something through the retail store, the revenue will grow. I'm just hearing myself twice. Could you please mute yourself? Otherwise, I'll have to do so. Great, thanks. So, and within this explanation, I see all kind of fields and possible explanation. But what I can do as well is I can just add some specific fields that it should look for. So for example, if I expand my sales table, I go now to product category and add it within explained by section. Or I go to country, edit in here, say apply, and then it looks like for this specific two fields. And it looks like if I have the product category dining and entertainment, it's the revenue is growing in such a case. Or if it's a specific country, in this case 150, I would need to look up which it is, but at least it explains a little bit. And the last but not least, I have a textual explanation of it, which I can read and better understand my data. All right, let's move on with another one. We introduced Power BI data flow diagram view, which means if you're working with data flow, you can now visualize your data preparation process really through a nice user interface. So let me show you that as well. I'm in here within a data flow. This is the Power Query editor, as you're hopefully familiar with. And if I go now to the view ribbon, I can click on diagram view. And within, I have this nice new view now. And what I can do, for example, I can click on this test data, or this relationship, to highlight from which table is it affected and which other tables are affected from this one. Or further, I can also expand it and see what kind of steps I have within. I see it's 4 steps. And for example, if I click on it, I have the query settings at the right. If I expand it, I see the 4 steps within. So these are them. And the nice thing is about this view, it's not only a view showing you how it looks like, you can also add new steps. So for example, if you add a new step between filter and custom, or choosing columns, you can just do so by clicking a plus button, or at the end, clicking on it, and you see what you can do. And instead of having then let's say, the not so nice Power Query view, you can do it in a more visual way. All right. Then what has happened in December? 4 last updates I'm going to share with you. One cool thing is that you can have now the full report attachment for subscriptions, meaning if you subscribe to a report, it could be Power BI or paginated, you can have a full attachment of it, but it requires a Power BI Premium, or with the Power BI Premium per user license, it will also work for those who have one. You can add it as a PDF or PowerPoint. It has to have 20 or less pages, and the attachment should be less than 25 megabytes. And just that you know where to find, I switch here my tab. I'm here within a Power BI report. If I go to subscribe, I can add here a new subscription, and this little guy here tells me now, okay, I can really have a full attachment as PDF or Microsoft PowerPoint and send it if I wish. Okay, what else did we announce? We announced large data set GA, so general available. This means that data sets are not limited anymore to the Power BI size of 10 gigabytes that we had. It's now really limited to the Power BI Premium size that it hosts the data sets. Meaning if you're working with Premium, has a P1, for example, the data set or the memory size is 25 RAM. And roughly 70 to 80% of it can be a Power BI data set, meaning roughly 20 gigabytes of data. And it's growing the larger your premium capacity is. So just that you know. And one last thing, keep up to date with the Power BI features, meaning if you're interested in all kinds of the updates, please go to this website, have a look into them. There is also a report if you wish to have it more on a visual level and how it looks like. So yeah, I added here the links, and this was it more or less from my side. Are there any questions? Let me check the chat, or please feel free to unmute yourself if you have any. Doesn't look like. So in such a case, it's a really pleasure and honor to hand over to Andrej. Andrej, he will, as mentioned, talk a little bit about dynamic commentary within Power BI. So Andrej, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Christian, for the introduction, and I welcome everybody to my session, my talk, which is about setting up dynamic commentary in Power BI. So let me share my screen. And presentation. All right. All right, here we go. Okay, so dynamic commentary in Power BI. There are many Power BI reports and dashboards out there, and in our practice, we have seen that the commentary, the explanatory texts, annotations, and maybe even user discussion is a part that is chronically missing from most Power BI reports and dashboards. And if you are able to add meaningful explanations of certain data values, and if you can do that in a dynamic way, and if you can deliver those comments to the right users in the right dashboards or report pages, your Power BI reports and dashboards will become much more actionable, much more explanatory. Okay, so today I will try to present 5 ways how you can introduce dynamic comments to your Power BI reports. Okay, so let me just show a couple of examples. Let me maybe start with a financial report. Okay, so I'm in my Power BI desktop now, and as you can see, I have a P&L statement. So I have an income statement. So I have all of my figures here. This is some P&L report. So I have certain accounts here, some types of revenue, total to some revenue, and then some product costs and service costs, so different types of costs. So this is now my subtotal of my costs of goods sold, and then this is my gross margin and gross margin percent, and so on. So this is, the key financial data for a typical company. And I can switch between different reports and so on. So I will get all the figures here on my left side, right? But I also have comments here. The comments that refer to specific accounts in my P&L statement in this table here. And what they do, the purpose of that is that, of course, they further explain what is going on. For example, my service and other revenue here is obviously growing from previous year. This is my absolute variance the previous year. Okay, so this is actually actual versus previous year calculated here, and I see that this particular, so the service and other revenue is actually growing for 20%, which is great, right? And now the question is, okay, why? And especially if something is not good, your end users will always ask why. For example, I have some red items here, so my research and development costs are growing from previous year, which is not good. So they are actually 1.2 million higher than the last year, for example. And of course, the end user, the manager, or the executive board, or whoever is your final audience will always have the question why. Okay, and a very effective way of answering this question why is to add a comment. Okay, so again, I have a comment here. This is my second comment, and then there's some explanatory text here, why these particular costs are growing versus previous year, and I have the same thing here. My research and development costs are growing, and this is the explanation. The development costs are higher than planned because we had to, do something, and so on. So these are very short, very actionable comments that are integrated in my Power BI report. And the point here is, of course, everything in Power BI is dynamic. So if I change my month, for example, to April, of course, my figures will change, you know, the charts will change and everything like it does beautifully always in Power BI. And my comments have also changed. Okay, as you see here in March, I had 3 comments and they refer to specific, specific data categories here, specific accounts in my case. And then as I switch to April, I'm getting 4 comments, and those are different comments, different texts, referring to different accounts here. And I can do this for other periods, of course. And so I have introduced dynamic comments to my Power BI report, and I have linked the dynamic comments to a couple of dimensions in my Power BI model. So I have linked this obviously to my calendar, so to my month period, as well as to other dimensions that are in my model. So I can, in the same fashion, I can now link the comments to my business units, to legal entities, to specific product groups, or specific clients, or whatever you have in your models, right? So in my example here, I can switch my report from a P&L, from the income statement, maybe to balance sheet, right? So this is now a different view into my financial statements here. So now I'm looking at balance sheet, and again I have different comments. This time it's referring to the accounts in my balance sheet, right? So I'm now commenting certain assets, investments, maybe stock and earnings and so on. Or I can do this for cash flow, and then explain why the cash flow has reduced, again with the comments, right? So this is just one example how short explanatory comments can enhance your reports and your dashboards in Power BI. I have a few more examples to show. So another one would be a very typical type of report that would really require short comments are the executive, board meeting, very high level Power BI dashboards and reports. So this is also quite needed in Power BI. So again, for example, here, or maybe this one is even better. So here again, I have an executive Power BI report with certain key KPIs here, EBITDA, EBIT, and so on. Again, some financial information, key financial information. And again, these are the dynamic comments that refer to specific monthly periods and so on. Okay, so this is what we are going to build today. And my intention today is to actually show you all the possible ways how you can include dynamic commentary to your Power BI reports. So let me switch back to my presentation. And we'll try to see, different examples how to build dynamic commentary in Power BI. So I'm Andrej of Zebra BI. I'm the founder and CEO at Zebra BI. I'm also a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional and IBCS, he heard IBCS certified consultant. Okay, so my session will take about an hour, a little bit more than an hour. So we'll have enough time to go into the details. And if there are questions during my session, Christian, feel free to interrupt me if there are some interesting questions. So I'll try to answer them during the talk. Okay, so we'll take a look at 5 different methods of doing the dynamic commentary in Power BI, or commenting in general in Power BI. Then we'll talk a little bit about modeling. You know, what do you need to, how do you need to prepare your Power BI model in order to include your dynamic commentary in Power BI? Then certain techniques, how to actually display the comments in your report. So you know how to do the report, the front end, the visuals. Next, you know, how to make sure that commentary can be used by multiple users, so that multiple users can actually write the comments and multiple users can read the comments. And of course, we'll also I'll also show how what is the way to actually achieve also the write back of your comments directly from Power BI back to some sort of a database, which means that your users can actually write the comments directly inside your Power BI report page. And we'll do this by using Power Apps. And then maybe the holy grail of commenting, as it's also called, which is something that is called linked comments or dynamically linked comments. I'll explain what this means towards the end of my presentation. And also share some resources and download links of all the materials that I have prepared for this session. So the PBIX files and so on. So yeah, Christian is recording the session as well, and we'll have some time for additional Q&A at the end. All right, 5 different methods. Number 1 is very, very simple, very straightforward. Those are static text boxes. Of course, this is a very old method. You can just simply, include some static text. So basically, just insert a text box. Of course, this is very easy to do, and they can actually look beautiful because you can format the text in Power BI with using different colors and symbols and so on. However, those reports, those comments will not be dynamic. Okay, so this is only maybe it's useful in certain situations where you simply have to prepare some slides more or less, or if you are exporting your Power BI reports to PDF, for example, then you can just have some text boxes and then you manually change the text each month or something like that. So, but other than that, it's not very useful in any kind of dynamic scenario. So that's why we'll explore the dynamic methods, and there are actually quite a few in Power BI. Power BI, first of all, has a built-in comment function. It's actually called commenting, okay? And this one only works in Power BI service, okay? And you can comment inside your reports in the Power BI service in the cloud, and also you can use those comments in your pinned dashboards in the Power BI service, okay? So this is one method. This is built in, very easy to use, but it has certain limitations. Okay, then method number 3 is something that I'll devote the most time today, and it's actually just using the native Power BI matrix visual in order to display your comments in a dynamic way. After that, we'll touch upon the smart narrative, which started as a preview feature in Power BI September version, I guess, so September last year, which is a very interesting option for implementing dynamic comments. It does have a few limitations, but maybe for the future, I think it's quite an interesting option to explore. So we'll play around with this one. And then the last one, my 5th method of implementing comments in Power BI is by using the Power Apps. So you can actually build a Power App and then bring this Power App via the Power BI Power App visual directly into Power BI. And this method, so the Power Apps, my method number 5 is the only one of the mentioned here that actually allows people also to do the write back of the comments directly from Power BI. Okay, so we'll also take a look at that. Now, beyond those 5 methods, there are also ways how you can further, I would say, enhance the experience of people interacting with Power BI, providing text, comments, chat, and so on. And those are scenarios like just bringing your Power BI reports into MS Teams. Okay, which is quite an interesting option because, you know, people will see the report and that they can actually chat or comment directly in Teams. So this is also, I would say, a nice method for commenting. Apart from that, you can also use the report page tooltips, and you can actually put your comments in a report page tooltip. This is a nice trick. Hopefully I'll have time to just show you this idea. Then you can use dynamic titles. So every visual in Power BI actually supports dynamic titles through conditional formatting, and there are some other options. You can use Yammer, so just integrate Power BI reports in Yammer, and a few other options as well. All right, now the requirement number 1 of any kind of dynamic commenting solution in Power BI is to have a comments table. Okay, so this is a simple table that contains the text that you will display in your Power BI reports and dashboards. Okay, so this comments table can be a simple table in Excel, or it can be a table in your SQL Server, Azure. You know, it can be somewhere in your SharePoint. So the point is, it's a simple table that contains, I would say, minimum 2 columns, and those 2 columns are, of course, your texts. So these are the comments that somebody will write, okay? And this text, comment texts, must be stored in 1 column in your comments table, okay? And then, of course, the second minimum column in your comments table is a link to your calendar. So it's because I would say probably, you know, at least you will want you will want the ability of the user to filter a specific period in your Power BI, like I had in my case, you know, the month when I switch from April to May, my comments will change, right? So that's why you need some sort of a date ID in your comments table, and each comment, each text here must be equipped with the right date ID. And then we will use this field to link this table in my Power BI model to my calendar dimension. Okay, so this is the bare minimum, at least those 2 columns. But in reality, you may also want other data fields, other dimensions in your Power BI model to be able to filter those comments. And that's why you can also add links, so multiple additional columns that will serve as a relationship to your maybe business units, maybe your specific accounts that you want to comment, and so on. So basically any field that will serve as a filter for the dynamic comments. Okay, so this is the structure. This is the structure of your table. So it's very simple. You can start with a simple Excel table, just bring it into your Power BI model. How do you bring it into your Power BI model? So this is my comments table here. So basically a comment table, think of it as yet another fact table in your Power BI model. So in my case, I have one one big fact table with some values here. This can be sales, financials, some operational, production, whatever values you have, right? So this is your standard fact table in your Power BI model. And then you have, of course, your dimensions, like some operations or business units, maybe accounts, customers, products, and so on. Then, of course, you have the calendar dimension, right? And now you have one more fact table, which contains all the comments and is also linked to your related to all of your dimensions that will dynamically filter the comments. Okay, so I hope this was understandable. It's if you're used to a standard star schema, then I hope this is understandable. Otherwise, I'm open for questions regarding this. So the key part here is then, of course, that you make sure that you have one-to-many relationship between, for example, the calendar to your comments. That's why we need this date ID field in our comments table, like I have shown. So this field is now related to my calendar here that also uses the date ID filter. Okay. So then, I hope this is very obvious now. So now my calendar will filter both my values and also the comments at the same time when I switch a month or a year or a day even in my Power BI report. All right, so this is the basics here. These are the basics. Of course, you can have other relations to your accounts, business units, and so on, also from your comment table. If you also want the user to change the comments if they change a business unit, for example. All right. I have collected, I have used a few DAX formulas here. So this is just a slide to explain all the DAX that I will use in my demonstration today. So this material, I will share all the material after the session. So now it's time that I actually switch to my example. And we'll quickly go through all the scenarios that I've mentioned, through all the 5 methods of doing the commentary in Power BI. All right. So we said number 1, text comments. Okay, so this is very simple. You can always insert a text box, in Power BI, put it somewhere and just start typing some text, right? So this can be a comment if you want. And of course, the good part of a text box is that you can change the font size and font weights and so on. Directly in a text box, you can change the color of the text and so on. So this is how. So this is an example here. This is how I have made a triangle here. So this is basically just a character, a triangle character that I copied, probably from PowerPoint or somewhere, or maybe from the website. So this is a Unicode character or an HTML character. You can put in smileys and things like that, also in a text box, to make it more interesting. So it's very simple. You put the comments, of course, you have it here. You can also use, circle symbols and things like that. So you will have those comments here.
Oh, Louis.
Yeah, do we have a question or just...
Is fijn?
Ja, Louis.
I will just mute everyone and please unmute yourself again, Andrej.
All right, I see the part, it has started already, so...
So you're still unmuted. You just have to unmute yourself, Andrej, now. Sorry.
Okay, good.
Perfect, thanks.
Perfect. All right, so these are now the static text boxes. Of course, the problem of this method is if I now change the period, all, you know, all of my text boxes are static, nothing changes. So this will only work in scenarios where you need to do this once, and then maybe, I don't know, print this to PDF or send this out to somebody and so on. And then next month, you actually, you know, you switch your periods, and then you type the new text here directly again as manual text in your Power BI report, right? So this is a very primitive method, but at least it's a start. Okay, so much more interesting are the other scenarios where the comments actually change. Okay, so now we are in the dynamic commentary section. So before I explain how this is done, I will switch to the Power BI service, and I want to let you know that there's a built-in comment function in the Power BI service, and everybody has it. It's here, as you see. It's just simply called comment, right? So you will see this. You will see this in every report that you open in your Power BI service, and the same function is also available in the Power BI dashboard. So the pinned dashboards in the Power BI service. Now, how this works is, so this is my regular report, and now if I click here, you will see that you have this built-in function, and you can simply add a comment here. So, you know, you can just now type in the results. So, you know, revenue, or actually you can start with a question, for example, like what's happening with our revenue. I can't type and talk at the same time. Okay, and now there's an interesting option. So this is okay. So now you just click post, and now this comment will stick to this report page here. Okay, and now you have a couple of options here. What to do with this? First of all, you can bookmark this. So you can use the bookmarks. You can actually link it to a specific visual via a bookmark and so on. And then there's another option which I find quite interesting. So, for example, I can do something like this. What's happening here? And then refer to a user in your domain, in your Power BI tenant. So, for example, if you click at, you can actually refer to certain users. So, for example, I have a colleague Tine, who is our business analyst, and now I can simply type at Tine and just click here, post this. And now what happened is, you see, I have mentioned Tine, and now what happens is Power BI service will actually send an email to Tine, and Tine will get a notification with my question, and then he can write his answer back, and all this chat history will be now visible in the Power BI service, and everybody else will see the answers. Okay, so it's a type of it's not the true dynamic commentary function in the sense that you would be able to refer to specific data elements on your page, but it's more of a chat functionality where you can mention certain people, and then, you know, a chat will develop under this comments section, and then if you if there are certain comments, you will see that there's a and if you can bookmark it, you can actually refer to specific bookmarks, and everybody else will see all the comments that were typed here in the comments text box. Okay, so as far as I know, there is no there is no there is nothing like a role-based security here that certain users would only see certain comments from certain people or something like that. I think that everybody that has access to this report will see all the comments here. And the other drawback is that you cannot refer to a specific element, data elements in your visuals here. So that's kind of a drawback of this particular solution, but you know, it's out of the box, it's just there, so you just have to teach the users to click on the comment and, you know, maybe start using this, play around a little bit with this one. Okay, so this was my option number 1. Now I'm moving to my option number 3, which is the so-called, I just call it the dynamic matrix method. Okay, and as you see here, both this one and maybe also this one. Okay, so this part here is now a regular Power BI matrix. As you see here, I have used a normal Power BI matrix visual, everybody has it in Power BI, to display the comments. Okay, so let's first go back to my model here. So that is, as you see, my comments. I have loaded my comments from somewhere, from a data server into my Power BI model. Okay, so this is my comments table. I have linked the comments table already to my calendar and also to my accounts, because my comments refer to specific accounts in my financial statement. Okay, let me just show you the comments table, how it looks like in my case. So in my case, I have some additional fields as well, but you know, the basic thing is, the important thing is this column. So my text with all the comments, and then I have a date ID. So to which period does a specific comment refer? Then I have split also this to month and year. This is just for the purpose of a nicer visual display or something. And I also have a link, which I call here in my case KPI ID, and this is a secondary dimension that will serve as a filter. Okay, because I want this comment, net earnings below plan mostly, and so on, right? This comment refers to my net earnings in my dimension of my KPIs or my accounts, right? And this is the ID of my account. So this one, you see, is linked here. The KPI ID is linked to my accounts table. Okay, so these are the most important ones. And then I have also added a couple of more options here. So I have added some comment markers. You know, these are the circles 1, 2, 3, and I have actually used some DAX to just create those numbers. Basically, I use some DAX filter that ranks, that actually goes through my comments and just ranks all my comments. Okay, this is my first comment in March, and then this is my second comment in March, number 2, and this one is my comment number 3 in March. Okay, then the next comment that I have in my table already refers to April 2019, so that's why this one has, again, this is my comment number 1 for April, and so on. And this is the DAX that just returns those numbers. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If it's easier for you, then you can simply add, you know, the sequential number of your comments directly already in your table, like in Excel or SharePoint or wherever SQL Server, wherever your comment table resides. Okay, and then I have also converted those numbers into these circles here, and I'm just using a unichart, the unichart DAX function, where I take the number and then I just convert this to a comment symbol that I'm using with, with this circle just to make it look nicer. So this is just a little hack here. Okay, you'll see. So this is the number, you see, 1, 2, 3, and I just put it in this circle by using this unique character function in Power BI. Okay, now that I have the comments, how did I create this matrix? Let's just duplicate this page, and let's try to quickly just redo this matrix here. So I'll just put it somewhere here. Okay, I have another element here that I won't need right now. So, okay, I will use my standard matrix. Okay, and what I need now is I simply need to add the fields from my comments table. So I will add. Let's just see, I want to do it exactly the same as I have it here. So first of all, I'll add the comment marker. So these are, my circles, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so in March, I have 3 comments, number 1, number 2, number 3. I will add the comment text. So this is my comment column from my comments table, and I'll put this into values. Okay. So I'll use the comment marker, or maybe the sequential number 1, 2, 3 in rows, and then everything else I'll put in the values. So you see, this is my first comment here. Let me enlarge this. Comment number 1, net earnings, and so on. Comment number 2, something about free cash flow. Comment number 3, something about capex. And this is it. I mean, I simply have text in my matrix, and because this is a native visual in Power BI, the filtering already works. If I just switch to April, I get my comments for April. That's it. That's how simple it is once you have your comments here in your Power BI model. Okay, of course, now my matrix here looks nicer than the normal matrix, but this is just a little bit of design. So maybe let me show you a couple of tricks how you make this table look better. Apart from my comment text that is here, I'm also displaying the name of my KPI here, and the and this little triangle, you see, whether my value is going up or down. So this is just to make sure that you see net earnings are minus 9 million or something, right? So minus 8.6 million actually. So that's why I also have this negative, this red triangle here. I have this one here. So you see, I actually have 2 elements. This is my comment text, and this is my KPI, the text of my KPI that I have also constructed by using some DAX. So let me also pull this one in. Okay, so first I will have the, so you see now I have my KPI text, and now I have my first comment. So everything is already here. Now you can just rearrange it a little bit. So the first thing that we'll do is, you see, I'll just make this column more narrow. Okay, now what happens is, you see, this is actually my first column here just for the numbers. So I'll make it narrow, but now Power BI has word wrapping here. So I will go here under column headers, and I will disable the word wrap like that. So you see, now I don't have the wrapping anymore, but I still have the numbers here. Then if you don't want to display this, the comment marker header here, let's simply switch the font color to white just to make it disappear here. Okay, so that's a simple hack. Okay, then you can change the color of those row headers. Okay, these are now my row headers because I have put the numbers as rows. You see comment marker here is in rows. So let me just fix the row headers. You can, change the color here. It will turn a step layout. I think we don't need this. We'll increase the text size. So this is how you can make them bigger, like this. Next thing, we don't need the totals and the subtotals here, so I think we can just disable the subtotals, because this is just simple text. There's no aggregation or something, right? So this is a little bit closer. Let's do a couple more. So the grid, this is the grid, those green lines here. So you can change the color. If you want to hide it, you can just make it blue or something. So, you basically just clean up the design a little bit. Yeah, so this is it. What else? Now the values. There's something called the banded row style. Okay, if you change this, now the row headers will actually, the font of the row headers will actually kick in. Okay, so this is something that you can turn off here. Maybe also if you want to get rid of the alternate colors here, then you can change the alternate background also to white. Okay, to make it clean. This is it. And then there's now, as you see, I still have the default layout of my matrix, which is each value is displayed in a separate column. So this is my column number 1, column number 2, but actually you can actually transpose the columns so that this one will appear below the first one, as you see here. This is it's not left, right, but the first one is on the top, and then the comment is below that. So this is another setting that is available. Let me check. Haven't been doing this for some time now. So it should be, is it in the settings? Oh, show on rows, that's it. Show on rows means that the columns will actually be transposed and show in as separate rows. So see, now I have my first field, and then below that I have the comment. And now these are my columns. I can just hide this. So this is basically how I got this layout here. All right, you can of course increase the font size to make it bigger, and then my column here, make this column a little bit more narrow. Now it looks strange because everything is white and clean. So, okay, so this is it. This is how you can just reuse the matrix visual in order to display the comments, and those comments are dynamic. Okay, so we are here. Now, the major part which can greatly enhance those comments here is actually conditional formatting in the matrix. Okay, one of the most powerful visualization features of the native Power BI matrix is that you can use conditional formatting. Okay, so you will find this in the settings of the matrix called conditional formatting. Okay, so if you open this, okay, you will see that now you can conditionally format all the value fields that you have in your Power BI matrix. So I have two fields. First of all is called KPI text, and the other one is my comment here. Okay, so you can conditionally format both of them. And in my case, I just decided to add the icons and actually a little bit of a background, a very pale background here in the first element, so in my KPI text. So how do you do that? as you see here, you can add background color. You can change the font color as well based on some conditions. You can add icons and also URL links. So let's try this with icons. I'll just click this. So now what I want to do is just display triangles here based on my value. Okay, so I will create a rule and conditionally format by this rule. Okay, this rule will be based on a value in my model, and the value in my model, the measure that I have for that, I called it delta PL, which stands for delta plan, so the variance to plan. So this is this measure here in my model, and this measure is simply my actual versus my plan. Okay, so this is already, so it's basically actual minus plan. This is my measure here, and I'll use this measure. So it's here. Okay, so it's either, you know, a positive number or a negative number. That's it. And now I will fix this formatting here. I will delete this rule. So I just need two rules here. And if the variance to plan is greater than 0, then I'll use this one. And if it's lower than 0, a negative number, I will use an arrow, red arrow down. Okay, so now I only need to make sure that this is correct here. So if my value is greater than, let's just say greater than, if it's greater than 0, so my number, make sure to change here from percent to number, which means that now Power BI will evaluate if the number, the value of my variance to plan is actually bigger than 0. So make sure to switch to number here. And now, so it needs to be greater than 0, and it can be any positive number. So it can be a huge number. So this is really strange here because Power BI in the conditional formatting does not have, you cannot delete this condition here. So you have to have something like is less than or equal to some really big number. Okay, but what is this number? I mean, if you say, okay, to 9,000 or, you know, 9 million and so on, you can still have 10 million, you know, the variance. And, you know, for any positive number, you need this. So the trick here is just to delete everything. If you delete the number, you see what happens here. Power BI will actually write maximum. So if you don't have a number written inside, then Power BI takes the maximum number. So this is how this is the condition that will actually take all of my positive numbers. So just greater than 0, less than or equal to maximum. Okay. The same thing for the negative number. So this time it needs to be greater than or equal to minimum. So I just delete this. And the number has to be less than 0. Okay. Hopefully I got this right. So two simple rules for the icons. Let's see if this works. All right, that's done. So see, now I can delete my old one. And this is my matrix now. It's dynamic, and also the icons will change. Now in the same way, you can also use the conditional formatting to add some background effects and so on. So I won't lose time for this one here, but I hope this was understandable. Do we have any questions at this point?
It looks like we had some questions, but you answered it during your presentation. So I think there are no left questions. Otherwise, please feel free to drop them right now in the chat or unmute yourself. Okay, great. Excellent. Okay, then we'll tackle them at the end. Okay, good. This is so this was my method number 3, the matrix visual, dynamic matrix with comments.
The next one is a newer method, and you can use the new smart narrative visual for comments. Okay, so this time I have something similar to what I have before, what I had before. Okay, these are the numbers here. These are my comments. Again, I have my comment fields inside this box, right? And again, this is completely dynamic. So if I switch, you see March, April, May. Only this time, this is not the matrix visual, but it is actually the smart narrative visual. Now, the smart narrative has been introduced in the September version of Power BI, and it's a very interesting visual. Let's duplicate this page and try to recreate this again. So I'll just move this back. Okay, so now, what is a smart narrative? Smart narrative, if you click, if you navigate to insert in Power BI, you will probably see the smart narrative here. If you don't see it, this is, I think it's actually still a I think it's probably still in preview with this version. So if you want to, if you don't have it here, if you don't have the smart narrative, make sure to navigate to your options and settings in your Power BI. Go to options, and you need to enable this preview feature. Okay, so we'll just take a look at the preview features. Okay, and now you will see the smart narrative visual here. So you need to make sure to enable this feature. Okay, once you do this, you'll have to restart your Power BI, and then you will have the smart narrative. Okay, now let's insert the smart narrative. Okay, first of all, smart narrative, at this point, it showed some information here that it did not find any summaries, because what the smart narrative does by default is, if you have certain other visuals already on your page, it will already create some automatic text. Okay, but this time we will not use it for this. We'll use it for something else. We'll use it for the comments. Okay, so basically what a smart narrative is, it's a smart text box. Okay, it's actually a text box. So you can just start typing something, you know, comment. So you see, it feels like a text box, comment number 1, and so on. So it has exactly the same features. It is the text box. However, it is smart. So you can use all the features for, you know, of the text box. You can format different parts of the text, you know, by using different font types and font sizes and so on. You can just simply type away, you know, press enter to go into new line and so on. However, this time, this is not just static text. You can add dynamic values into the smart narrative. And you do that by clicking on the plus button here. So you see the plus value, and if you click here, now you can actually enter certain measures and certain expressions that Power BI will evaluate, and then write the evaluated measures into the text box, okay, into the smart narrative. So, and the only way how you actually determine or refer to a specific value is to enter this as a question. So see, you have this questions box here, ask a question about your data, okay? So what I want to do now is actually to display my KPI text and my comment, okay? So maybe let's start with a comment, and I'll say, what I want to do is to get my comment. Okay, as you see here already, the autocomplete kicked in. Power BI suggested, Power BI is now taking a look into my Power BI model and has returned certain, fields that correspond to my comment, right? So what I need is my comment, this one, my comment, and I want this comment to refer to, let's say where. Now I'll say this will be my comment where. Okay, again, some suggestions here from Power BI. This one is interesting. You see, comment where comment marker is 1. You see that? That's brilliant. That's exactly what I want here. So it'll actually return the comment text where my comment marker is 1. Or I could also refer to my comment number, which is maybe more normal, like where comment number. This is the column from my comments table that says 1, 2, 3. This is a simple number from my where comment number, and then you say is 1. So basically this means this is my first comment in this month, and like that. Save. Voila, we have it. Okay, so this is my first comment. This is like a dynamic variable inside my text box. And now already, if I change this to April, this is my first comment in April. Okay, now let's go on. Now the smart narrative at the moment only supports single value expressions. So you can only evaluate one measure and return one value. Okay, so if you want to display 3 or 4 or 5 or more comments here, you just need to do exactly the same here multiple times. So again, I need to click here on the plus and say, all right, now I want my comment here. Comment number is 2. Okay, I'll just copy this because I'll need a third one and maybe a fourth one. Okay, so see, this is my second comment. And another value. Well, now I can paste it, do this for my third, and so on. So unfortunately, this is a little bit, a manual, a little bit too manual for my taste, but you simply need to prepare 3 fixed variables or 4 or 5, whatever the maximum number of comments you want to display here. And you just need to do it value by value. This is the limitation of the smart narrative at the moment, at least. And now, of course, the good part of this text box is of the smart narrative that this is a text box. Now you can simply just select this, and you can change the font, font type, font size. You can tweak the design however you want. You can add some fixed text around it and so on, right? And in my case, for example, let's also add my KPI, the name of my KPI as well. So I also want I want my KPI text again, where comment number is 1. Okay, so this is my KPI text. And I'll make it strong. Okay, So you see, and then I would need again the other one. So KPI text where comment number is 2. I should have copied this before. So okay, this is my second one. Make it like this, and lastly this one, 3. Okay. I managed to pull through. Okay, so basically now my smart narrative, I'll just this. Okay, I can use this as a title, comments like that, and you know, you can just design it however you want. And this is now my smart narrative used as a tool for commenting. You could add a few more things, like as you see here in my original smart narrative that I designed, I also used a couple more options here. Okay, maybe that was not a good idea. I think I have grouped this. So as you see, I'll just move it here. I'm also using this. What is this? This is my comment marker. Okay, the one in the circle. So I could also add the comment markers. You can add whatever you want. Something like that. Yeah, works. You know, make it bigger, change the font color, and so on. Okay, and you can also add something like you can also add those red and green triangles. Okay, however, this is slightly more tricky because one thing that smart narrative does not support at this moment, at least, hopefully it will in the future, but at the moment it does not, is the conditional formatting. So you cannot use any kind of conditional formatting within the smart visual at this point, at least in this version of Power BI. If you want to do something conditionally, you need to employ certain tricks. And one trick is to use a DEX measure that either returns the element if some condition is true, or returns an empty string or a blank value, empty value, if this condition is not met. So in my case, I have added an element, a measure called arrow up and arrow down with a simple, it really is a simple DEX formula here. So you see, I'm using, so I just have this measure called arrow up, and it's a simple if statement. So if my variance to plan is greater than 0, then this measure returns an up triangle. Okay. If it's not true, then it returns blank. Okay. And then I have the arrow down, and then this arrow down is returns the arrow down character if my variance is below the plan. Okay, and now what I have done here, let me just go back to my smart narrative. Okay, now I will add this triangle here again by using the value. And I will simply say, okay, I want my arrow up for my first comment. So again, where comments number is 1. Let me copy this for the future. Okay. And now as you see, what I got here is this symbol of invisible, because actually my net earnings is minus 8.6. So I already got the empty value from my if statement. Okay. But if I now also add the arrow down, comment marker is 1, save. Now I have my comment down, okay, right? And now what I do is, now I use fixed formatting for this one, for the first one. Okay, and I say, all right, the font color of this, because this is a simple character, the font color is, I don't know, red, and this first one will be green if, you know, if the value will be positive, then the first one will be shown. Okay, so this is a trick how you can actually introduce some sort of a conditional formatting into the smart narrative visual. Okay, so I hope that this explains the method number 4 here. Do we have some questions about this, Christian?
Not so far, or not really questions. I think we can handle them at the end.
Okay, great, perfect. Okay, so this brings me to the last method. So method number 5 of doing the commentary in Power BI, okay, which I will just explain. It would require another session, another hour probably, just to do it, you know, to demonstrate the whole process, right? However, so the methods so far, like the dynamic matrix and the smart narrative and so on, are great. They are dynamic. However, where do you actually now type all those comments? Okay, that's the question now. Where do you put that table with your comments, and how do you make sure that multiple people can actually write their comments into that table? Okay, so now you have several options here. What I did in my simple demo here, this table is actually loaded from an Excel file. Okay, so this is the most simple way. So you just put this into an Excel file. Actually, I have my Excel table here. Okay, so this is the exact table that I have used for this demo, and it's a simple Excel table. Okay, it's an Excel file, and what I did now is I have saved this Excel file into my OneDrive folder. Okay, into my OneDrive folder, which means that if there are several people that will add the comments, they will simply open the Excel file from their OneDrive folder, and then in Power BI, I have loaded this table from my OneDrive. Okay, so this is number 1, very simple Excel in a OneDrive, so you can use it. It'll work in the cloud and so on, because you know, you load it from, you link it to your OneDrive path. Very similar option is if you just load it into your SharePoint. This is very, very similar. So you can just upload your Excel into your SharePoint and then use the path from the SharePoint when you load the data into Power BI in your Power Query, for example. So these are very simple options. Of course, you can also use some sort of a data server like SQL Server or a table in an Azure somewhere, and then use the table from there. Those are also the options. And then there's the last option, which is the Power Apps. Okay, so let me also show, just demonstrate another file. Okay, so this time I have another, okay, I'm signed in. Great. So this is my last example for today. This time, again, I have some comments, dynamic comments here. There are in my model and everything exactly the same as before, only this time I'm actually using the Power Apps visual here. Okay, so instead of the matrix or the smart narrative, I'm using the Power Apps visual. Okay, Power Apps for Power BI. Okay, so this is the Power Apps visual directly in my Power BI report. And now the great advantage of using the Power Apps is that now not only that I just see all the comments, and of course I can filter them and so on, as we did before. Now every user can also click, for example, on some sort of a plus button, and they can actually enter the comment directly here. So my new comment, and then you basically need to design this Power App. For example, in my case, I can refer to a specific year and a specific month or something like that, right? And then when the user will add this, I'm not sure if I'm connected now. My new comment is here. So you see what happened is from this Power BI Power App, I have added the comment. This comment was written back. So this is now the true write back from Power BI to the same table that I had before. Again, I think this one is actually connected to some OneDrive Excel table behind it, but this could be any kind of table anywhere in the cloud, in any kind of cloud service. Okay, and of course, this allows the write back. Any user can do that. You can actually track the users, and you can design this app in any way you want. However, this then also means that you need to turn into a Power App developer, or find somebody within your organization who is doing Power Apps or can do Power Apps. I won't develop the whole app here now, but just to show you, this is my Power Apps, and this is a quick view how it looks like. So you can design different views in Power Apps. So this is my browse screen, which lists all the comments. Then you can have a detail screen. So this is the detail screen, which means, for example, I can have a short text here, and then I can actually view the whole comment. So I can click here, and then nothing happens. Not sure why this doesn't work now. Let me reload this. Oh, maybe something with the connection. Let's see if it works. Okay. So you see, you can have different views within this application. This is a whole application that you can program, design the buttons, the interaction, and so on. So this is how you do that. And of course, you can also create the edit screen, where the people will actually enter the comments, and those comments will then be written back to the database. Okay, so this is the method number 5. I will leave it up for the questions. I don't want to go too deep. Let's see what you guys are actually most interested in regarding the methods. And then the last thing that I actually wanted just to show in the Power BI are the so-called linked comments. So if you saw my first demo, you now saw that, okay, why am I actually using those numbers in the circles is to actually link, like visually link the comments from my comments table to my specific to a specific data point in my visual here. Okay, so now this last part, everything that I explained so far works in all Power BI visuals and so on. Now this last part, the comment numbers here, and also the comment text that is behind the numbers here, this only works in the Zebra BI visuals, okay? And it only works with the latest version of Zebra BI visuals, which is 4.5, because our visuals, the Zebra BI visuals, now have also a section which is called in the data fields here, in the fields section, we also have the comments the comments placeholder, and it works like this. You simply add your comment number. Sorry. The comments, yeah. So basically you just add the comment number. This is it. And this is how you link it, right? And of course the visual knows because those comments are already linked to specific accounts in my model, this will automatically be drawn at the exact, the correct data category, right? And then if you also want to add text as a pop-up in the tooltip, you simply take the comment text and you put it in the comments as well. And now the comment text will appear in the visuals as well. So this is supported in the Zebra BI visuals, both Zebra BI visuals, actually, Zebra BI tables and Zebra BI charts. All right, so this concludes my presentation for today. I hope that I have covered, all the possible options in Power BI, the static options, dynamic matrix, there are some other filters, smart narrative, and which is the preview feature, and the linked comments right back from Power BI. Okay, so thanks for your attention, and the other things we can answer in the Q&A session, I guess. I have promised the resources. So the files that I have shown today are available already. Some of them are available. Let me just show you. Okay, on the website of Zebra BI. So this is the zebrabi.com website, zebrabi.com. We have a couple of resources. Okay, so if you go under the webinars, we keep webinar recordings here. And this was the first version of my talk about dynamic commentary. So if you navigate here, you will get the recording, the previous recording, but also all the files. So the PBIX files, the comments table, and so on. So if you go here, you are able to download the PBIX files. But Christian also let me know how I can share the files from today with your audience, either through the Meetup site or just let me know how I can share the files that I presented today.
Okay. I think the easiest way is if you can send it to me, and I will put it on the Azure blog and share them in one link where all these files are,
okay.
Within.
I'll just create a zip file and that's it, to send it over to you.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
All
okay.
right. And we have some questions. I'll let them do now. So during the Q&A session, we have the first question from Bob. I will just reread it. I have a question for Andrej. How do you handle multiple comments per KPI during the same period? For example, you might have each region provide comments on NA, LA, and EMEA, all have comments for EBITDA. it would be nice to have a single marker, but segregated the comments by region. In other words, have a single marker number 1 with title, EBITDA, dollar, blah, blah, blah. But multiple comments below each with its own subsection, such as North America, Latin America, and EMEA.
Okay. That's a nice challenge. So one thing that you could do, let me just think about this. I'm sure it's possible, but the thing is now, this is, if you want to put it, well, one thing that will definitely work is if you dynamically concat texts from multiple comments. That's one thing, but it's quite it's not really a very clean solution, I would say. Now, what would happen if you do it exactly like I did it today, where you have the rows here and you have comment markers as in the row header, and then you have multiple fields here. Now the thing is, Power BI Matrix, what it does in the case where you have multiple multiple values, because I have put this into my values, okay? What happens is, if you have multiple values, Power BI actually aggregates them, right? So Power BI always aggregates data. So if you have like three regions, North America, Europe, and so on, and you have certain values, and then you look at it at a higher level, Power BI always aggregates that, right? So the default aggregation for the numbers is sum, right? So at the higher level, you will get the sum of the value of all the regions. But what happens with the text? And what happens with the text is it also gets aggregated, and the aggregation is called first, okay? So if I would have 5 comments here, what I would actually see, I would just see the first one that Power BI will find in the model, okay? And this is the aggregation that Power BI does automatically. You can change this. You can change this to last, or just, to count. But basically with text, you only have the option to display the first one or the last one if there are several values here in the values field. So if you want to display everything, I'm afraid actually the only solution would be to concatenate the text. So you would actually need to construct a measure that would take all the values and concatenate them in a DAX expression. So if you will Google this, people are actually doing that. So if you'll Google concatenate multiple values or something in DAX, I'm sure you'll find a formula how to do that. It's not completely straightforward, but it's doable. Otherwise, maybe one thing is you could add, I'm not sure what happens if you add, like, let me try, if you add multiple rows and then you just try to have, so, maybe you can use multiple row structure. So have the comment text on the first level, and then you have your region, right? I think you said region, and use the region as a hierarchy, and then you'll get the drill down option, and then maybe you say expand all. Yeah, now this will not work with my model because my comments are not tied to the business unit. So maybe something with this, add two of them here, or add the secondary one to columns, and then you would get them like in separate columns probably, or something. So you would need to redesign it and maybe try something like this.
All right.
Here.
I think we got the idea, and we get already some DAX measures posted in the chat. So thank you, Pascal, for that. I hope Bob, Andrej answered your question. And we have, let's say, another question, which is perhaps not so serious, but the question is, from where do you get these amazing ideas?
Well, one source. Well, first of all, I mean, we are involved in like really hundreds of projects everywhere because we are really keeping very close with our clients here at Zebra BI. So we have we have almost 1.5 million users all around the world, and most of those users are within larger companies that actually demand this from us, and they are just asking us, can you do this, or how can you do this, and can your visuals do this? And it's a constant research, how you can do something, what kind of tricks do you apply, and it's a constant then it's also constant development of the visuals, like the comment markers. We just added this basically a month ago to this version of the visuals. So it's a lot of research, talking to clients, previous experience from a little bit more than 20 years of doing dashboards and consulting and so on, and also the IBCS community, the IBCS standard. Because what you're seeing, for example, this idea of linked comments, right? This is not my original idea or something. This is actually a recommendation of the IBCS standard. If you're not familiar with this standard, IBCS stands for International Business Communication Standards. So, for example, the look and feel of the reports, the structure, the waterfalls, and then the red-green variances, and quite a few other ideas that are here also in the Zebra BI visuals is all based on the IBCS standard. So if you Google IBCS standard, you will find, or if you just go to ibcs.com. You will find examples very similar to the one that you are seeing right now. This is a lifelong work of Dr. Rolf Hichert, who actually lives in Switzerland. And we are very good friends, and I'm heavily involved in the IBCS community. I'm also one of the founding members of the IBCS Association. So it's the standard that Zebra BI visuals also are compliant with. Actually, we are certified. So what we do is we provide IBCS implementation in Power BI with the visuals, okay? But the actual recommendations and rules and so on are from the IBCS standard. So I highly recommend to go to the ibcs.com website and learn about the standard, which is simply brilliant, and it makes a lot of sense, especially in financial reporting and any kind of business reporting, sales versus actuals and things like that.
All right, great. I also posted the link to the IBCS website so that you can have a look into. One more question was, can I restrict access to edit comments in Power Apps based on user groups? It's already answered. Yes, you can.
Yes.
Based on AD groups. So I think that's more or less clear. And last question from Frederick. Is IBS showing Zebra BI visuals or the other way around?
Is IBCS...
Is IBCS showing Zebra BI visual or the other way around?
It's the other way around. So the Zebra BI visuals, the Zebra BI visuals are based on the IBCS standard. So they can create IBCS compliant reports and charts and tables within Power BI and also Excel. We have the same thing in Excel as well. So it's basically the implementation of the IBCS standard, and also more than that, because the visuals are very, they go beyond just the IBCS standard, because they are, it's a very flexible visual. You can do a ton of things with the visual itself. that is also, that goes beyond the standard. The standard is the base of the design of the visuals, of the visual design of the visuals. It's the concept that is behind the product.
Great. All right. I think that was all from the questionnaires from the chat. Andrej, thank you very much. It was really interesting. I also learned some pretty simple tricks. I'm always amazed how simple you solve some really, let's say, challenging issues. And today we all learned again something new. And with that, again, thank you very much. And I'm happy to announce now Miguel from Atos.
Thank you, guys.
He will show us a little bit the Power BI environment tracking. All right. Miguel, the stage is yours. And thanks again, Andrej. We can see you, but I think you're on mute.
I am. Sorry. Hi there.
There you are. Hi.
Hi there. So let me turn on my screen. Share my screen. Sorry. Okay. So hi everybody. I'm Miguel. I'm working for Atos in Switzerland. I've been working with the data warehouse and business intelligence for quite some time. I'm on the French side of Switzerland in the beautiful region of the Léman Lake, as you can see. And I'll try to keep it short. I know it's already quite late. What I'll show you is a solution we built to track Power BI, to monitor it. I do have a few slides. Sorry about that. I'll try to keep it short. The hour is already a bit late. Many of you might be a bit tired. And the slides will try to show, to set up the context, how Power BI has grown, why we decide to build this solution. We'll walk you through some of the functionalities and then show you a demo from one of the parts of the solution. So let's go. So as I mentioned, I'm working for Atos, and we have presence in many countries, including Switzerland, in different areas of Switzerland. So some of the basics first, as you probably already know, Power BI and Microsoft is the leader in this area of analytics and BI. This is the report from last year. The new report will appear very soon, and I'm sure it will continue there. And some of the aspects that contributed to it is the number of languages that it has, covers a lot of languages. It's widely used by many organizations. It is a great tool for all organizations to centralize the reporting and allow anybody to do self-service, data exploration, self-data mining. For the success of Power BI contributed how easy it is to use. Many people start using it without any kind of training. You can do self-service. It's available anywhere. If you have a report, you can make it available on a mobile in seconds. It's a SaaS solution, meaning that you don't have to buy any hardware. You don't have to do any maintenance. It simply works. It's there. And it has a great feature that everybody loves. It has regular updates. Every month we have new stuff, and we're always looking to see if we have things that we really want there, and most of the time we do. And it's integrated with the many Microsoft tools, as Andrej showed us today, like Power Apps, Excel. But with the growth, as people say, comes some hurdles, costs as well. So once it starts growing, quickly. We might end up with a lot of unmanaged contents. Reports might be duplicate. The same report might be on different workspaces, and it will be difficult to know the source. Data will increase, making it difficult to know if it's duplicate or not, what is the original version, the CPU and the memory that you use on on the capacities will grow exponentially. The costs, when the cost could be better controlled, are reduced with the proper cleanup of the solution. How to know? How do we know that a critical report is not shared with the unauthorized viewers or with the rest of the world? The lack of proper tracking and monitoring and governance can make the cost grow quite a lot. And this is why we decided to create a custom monitoring solution to see all the important information in one place and take actions quickly. The solution that we envisaged, that we thought of, and that we built it's centered on 3 different areas. The first one is to control the costs. Just look at the number of pro licenses and the costs related to the premium capacities. The second part does the monitoring, the health and the performance of the entire platform. Try to understand what is happening, if we have any problems, and what can we do to prevent problems from happening. And the third part tries to provide the tools to audit the tool if required. What we did is there are many solutions that have this information, and normally the information is scattered around. What we did is we have one single entry point with easy access to all the relevant information. So you see straight away what are the problems, what you have, and what you can do to improve it. And the data is collected from many sites, Power BI APIs, gateways, other sources, and the data is kept for as long as it's required. With that, it's possible to create trends, create forecasts. So the first module that we have, the cost optimization, it was used mainly for, as I mentioned, to monitor the usage of the pro license, assigned pro licenses, and to see the investment that is done in the Power BI capacities is leverage. Are we using too much of our capacity? Are we near its limits? Should we prepare to invest in additional capacity so that we can keep on working without any problems? Should we? Is there anything that we can do to our capacities to actually improve its usage so that we don't have to scale up? This is what this module tries to do. As you can see on the screen, it's on the right side of the screen. It's looking for the part where we have costs in Power BI, so the licenses for Pro and also for Premium, and maybe in the future as well with the new Premium per use license type that we'll have, which is license type for organizations that have demanding analytical capabilities but do not have the size to have premium capacities, but will get some of the functionalities that come with the premium capacities, like access to paginated reports, better performing data flows. So here there's a lot that can be done with this type of users. These are some of the functionalities in the cost optimization that we intend on building, like identify what are the capacities that are overloaded or underused, focus the reports to focus on corrections and try to avoid scaling up to try to contain the costs. On the pro license side, it's basically see how many pro licenses we have, when they were assigned, and we can see it over time. And with all the historical data, we know we can have trends and forecasts to see how much we can expect to spend in the near future, and try to control this growth. The second module of the entire monitoring side is the monitoring. Let's call it like that. It supports the adoption. This part supports the adoption rate growth and tries to avoid frustrating user experience. The overall goal is to avoid being caught unaware by sudden growth in usage and not enough capacity to fully sustain it. It provides a full view of the Power BI artifacts, pinpointing issues and proactive actions that should be taken to prevent those issues. These are some of the functionality as well for this part. If I'm going too fast, please someone alert me. Here on the monitor side, we see it two different ways. So one more reactive view where we will see straight away what are the issues that we have. So how many, for example, how many data sets failed, and then we can enter and see what is the error and what are the, and we know straight away where do we need to take actions. If all the gateways are active or not, and which one we should look at. And a more proactive view where we can see or we can suggest better optimizations or where we can suggest optimizations to the refresh schedules that are set today. Maybe there are schedules that are running 10 times when they only could run on 2 times. Better workspace redistribution plan according to all the capacities that we have. Identify or know what are the data sets, the data flows that are using the same content. For example, if you're extracting data from a SAP BW report, and if this is extracted by 4 or 5 different data sets on different workspaces. Maybe this could be done with just one data set and then the data set shared among the organization. The third and last module that we have is focused on compliance. It makes Power BI easy to audit and track compliance if required. Potential security breach could be granting wide access to certain reports inside and outside of the organization, using certain visuals in reports. So these are all things that can be tracked. We aim to show who is using Power BI, since when and how, track reports, making Power BI easily auditable. Some of the features that we have show that. So the number of people, unique views, number of views on which reports, what are the leading workspace and reports, what are the growing reports in popularity, what are the key actions done by users like shares, maybe comments. Potential data leakage, which reports are published to the web, which are using certain visuals that were identified with problems in the news, for example. I will now switch to a demo. Let me just change. The demo is focused on the first module, so the cost optimization. Right. So this is the report that we built. It's quite simple. It's this is a demo. The final version it's not here, so this was a demo that we were building just to show it. And the figures are just for demonstration purposes. Once we open the idea is that once we open the report, all the information and the key information is on the same side. And since we're just talking about the first module, so the custom optimization, we're looking at the parts where there's license fees involved. In this case, pro licenses and premium capacities. In terms of pro licenses, what I see straight away is how many pro licenses are assigned in my company, in this case 1,000, how many are inactive, and by inactive I mean how many pro users have not used for pro activities in the last 3 months. Here the 3 is a baseline, can be configured to 1 month, 10 months. And based on the assignment level, how many can we expect, how many licenses can we expect to assign in the coming months? In this case, 177. So if I click in one of these tabs, we can see the assignment per month. We can see where the users are. We can see the inactive users with the last activity that they've done. All of them are interactive, of course. Eventually it will work. It will show the 7 inactive users for Kenya in this case. And we have also a very simple forecast. This is the basic functionality in Power BI, as long as we have the E3, of course, to try to predict how many licenses will be assigned in the coming months. Okay, so this is the pro license part, so you can have an idea of how much you could save straight away in terms of licenses, or what you have and what you can have. In terms of premium capacity, it's a bit different because it's more tricky, the management of premium capacities. So first we start by showing how many capacities we have and if they're all used or not. We have 5 and all of them are used. It's quite good. So if I click on the number of capacities, we can see straight away that there are, well, the 5 capacities. What is their type, and we have much more information on it. The name of the capacity, the memory is assigned, which is according to the type of capacity, what's the average workload, the number of reports, number of unused workspaces. So there's plenty of information, just this simple table that allows us to monitor and see the overall picture of my infrastructure. So I will go back to the main screen, and on main screen further, I have other KPIs that aim to call my attention for possible problems that might happen. So the box right next shows how many capacities have workloads above 80% in the last 30 days, not just from yesterday to today. And if I click, I see that there are 2. If I click on the icon, I see that these are the 2 ones that have problems. Please bear in mind that this is just the demo data. And I can see that I can see the evolution per month in the last 30 days. If I click on a day, I can know the 24 hours on that day in terms of performance for data flows, data sets, and all the other components. And according to this, I see that, well, I should act on both, but this P1 is probably more urgent because, well, probably people are struggling to see the reports that are inside this capacity. If I go back to the main report, let's first see the other reports before taking actions. The second one, just the second colorful icon shows us how many capacities have workload peaks above 90% in the last 24 hours, or sorry, 48 hours. This is also configurable, and there's just one, and it's actually the one that was already reported, which is capacity 7. And here we can see as well the load during the last 48 hours, where are the peaks, and we can see as well for the capacity that has problems, this one, what are the workspaces, data sets, refresh duration, well, many variables that will help us identify who might have more problems, or what is the report or workspace that I could probably grab it and move to a different capacity to try to give immediate well, aid to this capacity and to all the users using reports here. And I can always contact the owner of the workspace for them to act. Let's just see the next indicator. So capacity with noisy neighbors. So there is one here. By noisy neighbors, we mean, imagine that you live in a building and you have, I don't know, 20 people living there, or 20 families living there, and one decides to make a party that night. And so that day, that will be the noisy neighbor. So it affects everybody. It's the same with the capacities. You might have one report or one data set that it's so time consuming and it has so many resources, pulling so much data, it's actually sucking most of the resources of that capacity. So that's the one where you should look at straight away to try to fix your issues. In this case, on this demo, it's again the same one from before, so it's capacity 7. And here we try to list on this graph, which is very similar to the previous one. We try to list and show in red which are the ones that we are considering as noisy neighbors, where we should act. So we could straight away move these workspaces to a different, or just these data sets to different workspaces on different capacities, or even a shared capacity. Or we could contact the workspace owner and ask them to speak with developers or to fix the problem straight away, if possible, of course. Sometimes it might not be possible. The last, or the other indicator we have here below is showing which capacities have 20% of less of workspaces that are not accessed. I think in the last 2 months, all these values are parameters, of course, and there are 2. So this one shows the other way around. So the first indicator shows actual problems, and this one shows something is underused. So these that are underused sometimes helps us to solve the problems in the capacities that are overused. And what we've done here is also we can see what are the capacities. We have some basic information about them, like how many workspaces are there, how many reports, how many unused workspaces. And I see that this P3, for example, doesn't have much. There's 30% of workspaces not used, and only has 23 workspaces. Some of them are certainly empty. And these are the workspaces that were not accessed in the last 2 months. So one immediate action could be simply grab probably the P1 with all the reports and move them into this P3, and probably remove the P1 because we probably don't need it. And this P3 would still work with very good performance, and we could lower our costs like that. The last indicator is really just a general. That indicator just shows the average workload capacity in the last 30 days. Just sends us to the same report as the number of capacities, and here we can see the performance for the last 30 days for all the capacities that we have. And we can see that here we have on top the capacity 7, which is the one that had problems, and below the P3 that has almost the capacity 3 that has almost nothing. So we could balance our data and try to move it to a less used capacity to try to save costs and have better performance reports. And with this, yep. And with this, I finished this demo. So I try to make it quicker because it's already a bit late. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Yes, great. Thank you as well, Miguel, for the interesting insight of your solution. And we have some questions in the chat. Let me go through them. The first one is the solution an application or consulting services?
It's a bit of both. It's a solution, and we're trying to sell it as a solution.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then the second one is all this data coming from the Power BI activity log and the unified audit log?
It's coming from the Power BI APIs. So we extract everything from from the APIs. Let me see. I think I have a nice diagram around.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I have it. Oh yeah, here it is. So it's coming from the premium capacity metric data sets, from gateways, from the Power BI APIs.
Great. Okay. And can you tell us something about real-time capabilities. How often do you refresh it?
It's well, there's how many are there? I think there's 7 or 8 processes that are collecting data daily. Some of them run just once a day, but others run every hour to pull the data.
Okay, great. And then we have just a few comments. For example, historic data has to be stored somewhere else. This is not so interesting. Would be interesting to extend the solution to on-premise resources. License is not an issue anymore, but performance, yes, for sure. Okay.
Yes, that would be great as well. But right now we're only covering the online parts on the well, with Power BI services. But that's a good point. Yes, thought about that. So it would be good to have it also for on premises.
Okay. I don't see any questions in the chat left. With that, then, one more. Any coming module to monitor report usage?
Yes, we can see. Well, we don't have a demo for it. Sorry about that. But we can see who is using the reports, how many views, how many users are viewing it, how many unique views, and the performance of it. Load.
Okay, great. Then my ask as well for Andrej, could you please share the slides with me so I can then share it with the community? Everyone has then the slides as well as the report. That would be great.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Great. And then with that, I will take over just 2-3 more minutes. And sorry for that. I know we're a little bit over time, but I hope it's worth it. So let me go back here to the Power BI slide. As mentioned at the beginning, I have one announcement to make because more and more people are approaching me like, hey, can we have more regular meetups? It's only quarterly. And based on this request, I decided to have it on a more frequent way. Now, instead of meeting it each 3 months, we will meet us monthly. And the time will also change a little bit. I will do it on every first Thursday of the month, starting from 4 p.m. Swiss time till 6. And as mentioned, on a monthly basis, but the concept will still remain the same. We have the recap of the updates at the beginning, and we try to invite speakers so that we have some interesting stories about use cases, solutions, and so on. And so that you know, with that, the next meetup will happen in March, meaning we will start in March with the monthly meetups from 4 to 6. And there is another one in Lausanne starting or happening on the 9th of March. And after that, the next in Zurich or the Zurich meetup is the 1st of April, again from 4 to 6. Stay tuned. Here is the website for the meetup again, just as a reminder. I will post there the links to the recording as well to the slides once I got it. And with that, thank you very much, everyone, for attending, especially for the 2 speakers of today, Miguel and Andrej. Very useful. Hopefully, at least for myself, it was, because I learned a lot how to track and how to compare. Thank you very much. And if you have any further questions, I will stay a little bit in the call to see if you have anything open. So yeah, if you have any questions, don't be shy. Unmute yourself or post them in the chat. Happy to answer them. Otherwise, I will close the call in roughly 1 minute. All right, it looks like there are no questions left. Then One more time. There is one. Sorry, didn't see that, Fredrik. When can URL to a specific page are available? I'm not sure if I understand your question right. How do you mean the specific page? Or can you rephrase it or unmute yourself? Fredrik? All right, I'm sorry, I don't get your question either way. If you're asking how can you navigate through a specific URL to one specific page of a report, this is available. For example, let me show that. In my case, I have opened here page sales analysis. And if you look closely to the URL, you see that it is the report. This is report ID, and this is the section, meaning the report page. And each page has a specific unique ID. And with it, I can point to the specific page. So if I go to sales order, it's changing because this is the default view. And if I go to sales analysis, you see it's a unique. I hope that answers the question. Only in the cloud then? Not sure about that. Not sure if this is on the report server as well. Didn't test it. At the end, I would suggest test it on the report server if you have one, but I think the URL works as well the same way in the report server. Sure. All right, with that, thank you again very much, everyone, for attending, for presenting, and I wish you a nice evening and the rest of the week, and we hear us hopefully in March. And I'll stop the recording now.